Abusiafo me demo call the Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia, as say ono ena etu franka ede ama NPP amanyoko no me demo call na so na the kind of endorsement the Vice President of Ghana say wonya no de ano de say no Kamia say ofa youth what Ghana mamu ha no in fact be 90% or 80% there say endorsement nko and omode ma the Vice President of Ghana ni na say digitalization say enem mafo aba no digitalization to see a system no digitalization it will be a obeba abehye omo system no mo kena ahye muden e ama omo na omo edi ne ho adanse endorse no na me de wo call Mustafa Saddam ono na endorse the Vice President of Ghana and wo in some way anasa niema we the Vice President aye inti no wo gina so endorse no oni ni shoot omapo mo ho ene edomo mo the endorsement the Vice President of Ghana
tilted towards because it did Ghana baby no more. We share me Mekasa National Youth Organizer, na me ejuma ewa na soye. Start year 2017, Oba Dr. Mahmoud Asroye. Baby no kwa into the nickname Omudema Dr. Bawumia from the word go is the Vice President with small boys around. It shows you that he's one person who has always, had Bebunu around and Nyemi Mama say designing campaign in or say Bebunu ND kind baby of a copia so on the Bebunu way the first phase of campaign about the way touching campaign structure design way or causing regions for a day working visit of a number of constituencies in a day. Some of the regions bear 2 days because some of the regions not so into bear 2 days or into way first phase of campaign touching days with regions. Touching base area that is here that you are massive. They are design another level of campaign and no constituency specific.
Salam Mustafa Ebwa Mebunramano Emma NPP.
Yefi ehwa na yetwaso ewo NPP ensimwa na enche no to aba ewo ejeso abato mbeso aso na honsem sade owura aduomi ogina se kontekro ohwe modemu a oboye ewo abato mu ni niama bibiri no a na chese ekwani mu na no na MPP mu mpanifo bi chese bani omunyina eyefunu kromu mba nti de ne se enya de a obetwa wotachre mawe onya de o mawe nambia nti oboma di bia se owura aduomi obesai de no aba NPP mu bio na afi onu nyina aye kro na yera 17 mu a oye national chairman ono enigina mu a wode nsemi etodwabra aba no obobo wie na manfo jiwani ni ade a ya cheso gina wo so ono de anya de obagina ni fi se nipa ba ko wo mu nyina ye manyuko ba ko ma ensesentity mu bia no eba wo mu emu yentie iranti ma no de semo
nchichi mu bi o mpapa mu bi ewo ho a e bia ye Adumi versus MPP na be mo hu se mpapa mu kakra bi ewo eno kra no so the medical aka no nya de aye be chance ama sa de no ato akoso be fesa ansa ne be ko general election December no na twetwa sa nyama ni na no yesisi ni pantem ama December no the real opponent no ko share na divisions emma imunj enchiche obia initiative bia at this point in time but eno na da makoma so da madwen mu say yebeye adwuma wo say ye so obi ye and I've taken it upon myself and you see me show that so say yebehwe ama adumi ne nkofo nyina asan aba MPP mu
any era 7 in team and this many equity
Nansa na UCG Peniawa Santimanta Ashanti East on the regional minister Nyanta Wantobe Sane so upon Kania wonum kodum nti na edu ba bi mentimo asementi kwaye process na UCG adwuma for junior and senior staff na se regional minister wa nyade sanse se obi de Kaniaka na wonum ekọ akotwamu na wakwaje na abechi na tumu de entwa ye nti regional minister mpacho regional minister nso chem se hunu de nti a waso opachewo sanse suapon ne ECG for yenti ase apam memorandum of understanding bi se ja se ne be faso ebetua no ne ade a wogiri ese no wo eno amaso ena wonum kodum nkane anu nti samri bi wonum a manfo ka won pacho wo hunu ade a waya nti se so pacho na mede ye na na adwuma efo dai na nwasema ye wo mu ani se adwuma efo dodo no a ya waji wani no abetwase ampanifo akasa ate wonum edu regional minister so no ana ECG adwumayefo ni nyina de no wo beka na de ne yebetie eja wonum nyina chi wonum bra regional minister ebekasa no na wonum ko gina nche awasam ne se papai wonum ne wasam enti otie no anya yie na mom nyade a wotwe omafiri okra so o mabiem na regional minister kasa wi a na wonum ebesan aba na asam na hwe aso enti enam sokra emawura Bismarck adoma yana ne bonko bo bisa ne se die enti na ECG adwumayefo yi wonum nyina no asore afiri honom na nsama national chairman edema ECG senior staff workers union yewura adoma che mu no mama yintie.
People were covering it, so we have the coverage we want. We want attention. People got to know. Everybody in the weather say, make it clear that until he will do that, we will not cooperate today. And we demonstrate it today. When we get to the bridge, oh God, I say, maybe people will decide to come in and settle the issue, but don't come on big brother. Say, general manager, don't 100% say, yeah, MC, I want to TV. And you also change general manager to.
Yewura adoma na akasa na ogina ECG adwumayefo no anamu se regional minister de no ye ya wose on pacho no wonum so nya de obetra okra na wati na sam a woka
enro adwumayefo edeye na omai adwadifo wo monkabomuku wo mon so ehia na nsam ahodo e ode todwa ni tutu pa ne se mampani Yewura na nado dankwa ekufuado emomodin bia se obeboama Ghana for ehu ato no bize sese o sesen asetena mu abrabo no ayeden papa e no sunti ehu be yin asa sesai be bekoso Trade Union Congress omo empani fo chechi mu se oma bia no betumpon a na ejina dwumayefo wo ma asetena so sese kane dundum o trese ekoso a na chofo penny de matisi ene Dr. Yaba ono ena o tre nsem yi emu.
Maybe at the time, Ghanaian workers and their families are grappling with high cost of living and inflation of over 25%. Exchange rate of the cedi is now almost 14 cedis, if not more, to $1, compared to about 4 in 2016. That means workers who earn monthly salary of 1,000 Ghana cedis in 2016 were taking home the equivalent of $250. Today, 1,000 Ghana cedis is only $71 US. The depreciation of the cedi at this monumental scale, that is about 250% depreciation, represents a huge decline in living standards of Ghanaians generally and workers in particular.
Yewura anu de sebo de etudwa chechimu enyina ne nsemo do afa sede adwumayefo wo ho beto do na fi wabrabo akonkai we sikasem wakatua ho nsem ne nyina obo ho amane wo se omabia no hye ekoso a eboapa ma oko animu eyi
Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti papai se ekwa NPA a we head at my economic regulation na anasema de tudwa na nse hwemu a gas liquefied petroleum gas ya de bia de dwumen no kwasem ni wonu ma ya woto na woton na wochimba no ekabi de da so a ya wogidi esen company for ya nhye bi na wo hwe no honum yi a ibetimi abuenti o se MPA se wo transit na wa ya nhye se wani a wo twemfra meja na eton ene wani a wode ma nyina no ti ase apam betimi aba na so ji ese bia to bi de da so na ebetimi abo a penifo ahwe ho de entimi mu anso ahwe ho no amadwuma a wono edie no bibia akonkan. Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti.
Taxes are what usually generate revenue for government. So if government can generate taxes from elsewhere, then they can consider reducing some of the taxes on a particular product or service. And that's the appeal we are making. The other thing NPA has done, whilst waiting for government to respond to the call for reduction of taxes, is to find a way to introduce innovative ways to reduce the cost of LPG. So what did we do? Last year, we started discussing with the BDCs that if you look at the way we used to import LPG, we have different BDCs importing LPG in smaller quantities, and it was more expensive.
Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti ena atene kanon se gas no from January outway mutu outway gugu so ndio bia na manfo kan wasomenti ka ba no ba bia wadi na ni be hwa bi a obenya to kakra free na ntisuo bi beba wo ba bi a ni nyina no ade se enom de to aban animu
Edamo say Kasebo Free Fox 97.9 so kuma say na for insurance say Hepa Plus Pavi ena Plasmot Nuno edaso a wadwaso a eno manfo age atum Hepa Plus Pavi Plasmos ye adwuma se nkonya esiesie ni padua no yi yare ahodo a woni padua no nyina emfa ho ene sede yade
had adopted a rather novel kind of strategy to campaigning where he would make sure that every supporter or every person well wisher following him will have to join the campaign bus. And the campaign bus will send us through all this, except where it is hard to reach, where these buses may not be able to go to some villages, then they will be resorting to limited use of these SUVs or these long cruisers. That simplicity, that modesty, that kind of approach resonates with the times. That you don't go as a presidential candidate presenting yourself, engage in conduct that seems to suggest that you are not sensitive to the plight of the Ghanaian people. You are not just even aware of what the times are. So that approach is what we need to commend the Vice President on. The Vice President also approach of reaching out to relevant stakeholders, religious leaders, chiefs, market women, the youth, drivers. That approach, because you see, the economy is going to be an important issue in this election. Once the economy is going to be an important issue in the election, the Vice President will need to have a message telling them that, look, cost of living you have been one of the people ravaged by inflation. That when we have inflation skyrocketing, you are those who feel it the most. We must put in place measures, and we are putting in place measures, and these are the measures we are putting in place to address that. The Vice President also, and then you could find some of them on the newspapers, on the front pages of the newspapers. Issues of jobs and security of jobs is one of the things the Vice President is focused on. How do we create the jobs so desirous of these young people, that young people graduating from the university can have a place to work, not necessarily in the public sector, but how do we spur the private sector growth so that it will be a catalyst to the creation of jobs in the economy? That the Vice President is clear, and the Vice President is highlighting as one of the areas he intends to focus on. The Vice President, adult is, and let me just even a bit backtrack that we've not formally launched our campaign manifesto. And the team working on the manifesto, they are just on the ending part. Committees are putting together their various drafts for the Secretariat to synchronize and synthesize all these various parts of the manifesto and present that to the Ghanaian people. But the Vice President is giving us, if you like, anchors of this manifesto. What he goes around talking about are actually the cardinal points of that manifesto, that when you have the final draft, you'll be clear in your mind that this is what the Vice President was talking about. Aside that, the Vice President understands that you cannot come to this election. It's going to be, and if you also read the press statement by the Director of Communication of the campaign, it's going to be a contest of character, records, a contest of message. Okay, these three major parts will play very well in the election. And when you say contest of record, the Vice President will not run away. And I remember recently he called that he will not shy away from any presidential debate. That when I'm called to account as a Vice President, what I was able to support the President to do, I will do that with my head straight, and I will do that without any fear. He's clear on that. So when it comes to the MPP record, the Vice President is willing to defend that. He is willing to also admit where the government has not been able to meet the expectation of the Ghanaian people, on the basis of which he's seeking a mandate to come and then finish that particular project. And that is on the contest. The contest of character. It is going to be Mr. John Dramani Mahama against Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. A known quantity vis-a-vis a relatively unknown quantity.
Who is the relatively unknown one?
Dr. Bawumia is a relatively unknown quantity.
Okay.
So that personality, the two would have to be assessed by the Ghanaian people, and in assessing them, the Ghanaian would look at, okay, John Mahama as Vice President for relatively some 7 years of governance, or 7.5 years, what was he able to achieve? Mr. John Dramani as president for 4 to 5 years, what he was able to achieve. And they will compare that to that of Mr. Bawumia for 7 to 8 years of being the vice president, what he was able to achieve. And they also look at the track record, apart from the track record in government, professional track record, or if you like, the art of the politics. You also look at their personal trait and personal character. Unfortunately, Mr. John Mahama has got one similar character with that of Mr. Bawumia, which is the humility part. That they will square out. I have to give Mr. John, your candidate, that part. But it is clear that Ghanaians will be looking for a leader who is humble, a leader who is not corruptible, a leader who has clarity of vision, a leader who can articulate the vision so well, so much that every single Ghanaian will resonate and move along with that vision. Okay, that clarity, the Ghanaian people will also want someone who is tolerant, someone who will accommodate dissent